Good afternoon. My name is Madison Brown. I will be presenting my BISP project for Dr. Jack Richer. My project is about nudging herbal remedies in more communities in the United States. Now, the problem is that the government has brainwashed society into thinking that healthcare, hospitals and clinics and things like that actually heal the illness or the disease, when in actuality, they're just curing the symptoms that you have, whether that may be a headache, stomach ache, nausea, anything like that. They're healing the symptoms. They are not healing the actual disease or illness. So that is the problem. My nudge is to encourage society to explore and invest in natural herbs, essential oils, and spices to address illnesses and diseases holistically. By that means addressing root causes rather than just managing symptoms. The current situation, like I said, is basically that the government has brainwashed society into thinking that these medications that are served at hospitals and clinics and pharmacies and things like that, that they heal the illness or disease, when they only are just suppressing the symptoms. Now, the decision-making process. Many individuals are more comfortable to opt for government-provided healthcare options because they're perceived as trendy and the most accessible choices in the United States. Now, some suboptimal outcomes are, for example, COVID-19, the deadly pandemic. That has wiped out over 250,000 people in the United States in the year of 2022 alone. That is a lot of people. When they didn't have a cure for the disease, they were just curing the symptoms, which were shortness of breath, nausea, headaches, things like that. They were just curing those symptoms. They weren't curing the actual disease. Another fact is that currently 3.7 billion people are being clinically diagnosed with HSV1, and 491 million people aged 15 to 20 are being diagnosed with HSV2. Now, as we know, herpes is a very common STD that a lot of people have. Some people do know, some people don't know. But if you are diagnosed with herpes, you are only given medications to suppress the outbreaks that you may have or the irritation that you may have down there. It doesn't cure anything. It just suppresses your symptoms until it flares up again, if that makes sense. Lastly, 51% of the United States is not being able to afford healthcare. Over half of the United States cannot afford healthcare. And for that reason, people who have type 1 diabetes or cancer, things of that nature, they have to pay out of pocket for their medications that they need on a daily basis. Now, as a diabetic myself, I have to take insulin every day. So if I had to pay out of pocket for my insulin, I would be looking up to about $1,229 a month for one vial of insulin when I need two a month, if that makes sense. So that's about $3,000 roughly, and that's not including medications that I need. Not medications, I'm sorry. That's not including essentials that I need to check my blood sugar, regulate my blood sugar, things like that. Now, some application steps. Basically, step one is to research. You have to research, find things, find herbs, spices, and essential oils that can effectively heal the common illnesses and diseases. Now, step 2 and 3 is basically experiment, trial and error, just trying things out and basically seeing what works for you and what doesn't. Step 4 is to obtain legal approvals to conduct research on a broader scale. That is a very important step because since this has something to do with healing and medications and things like that, you have to be very precise. Step 5 is to conduct larger experiments on larger participants. So if you were experimenting on animals at first, maybe you want to broadcast this step into experimenting on humans. Step 6 is to publicize your research and experiments. And step 7 is to establish shops, distribute samples, and mainly important, use caution in sharing all findings as governmental interference will climb due to potential financial implications from natural remedies. If the government feels threatened, you will definitely be in trouble with the government, because the government does not play about their money. So unfortunately, that is just the last step that you have to do. But my last slide is my cited sources that I use to research and conduct this project. Thank you and have a good one.